Awesome.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Relationship Cycle with Jorge and Nelsa. I'm your host, Nelsa, and Poppy. Today, we're talking about red flags and green flags as you are on this dating journey. But first, I just really want to take a moment to say that our thoughts and prayers are with all of our listeners who were affected by the recent hurricane and tropical storm, and especially those in Western North Carolina. Shout out to all the linemen, electrical workers, those of you who are helping people to restore power, who are helping people to cut trees. It just was very devastating. So I don't want to take that lightly at this time, but I do know that sometimes we need a respite. And so hopefully our show can help you to just ease back into norm as you're getting your lives back from, the devastation from this recent natural disaster.
Absolutely. Shout out and thoughts, prayers, good vibes to everyone impacted, including myself and you. But
Mm-hmm.
obviously, some people have been tremendously impacted in levels that we can't even imagine. Luckily
Right.
for me, it was just a 48-hour thing that I had to ride out, but all is well. But shout out to everybody helping out, and please stay safe. And thank you for all your love and support.
Absolutely. And without further ado, so give us an example, Poppy, of the time when you knew a red flag had been thrown on a
Oof.
date. Mm-hmm.
Man, that is, listen, first and foremost, I know that on the surface it sounds pretty cut and dry what a red flag is and what a green flag is, which obviously red flag is bad for the most part in most people's mind, and green flag means positive or good.
Hmm.
Um, right from the jump, for me, um, referencing a lot about their ex partner in the within the date is a red flag for me.
Okay. And why is that? Like, do you feel like they're still too connected, or they haven't really healed, or they're still in love with the person? What exactly was it that kind of threw you about that?
To me, when we and to be fair, right, some conversations about that need to be had because not
Mm-hmm.
everybody is upfront about their situation with their exes, or some people are living with their exes and still trying to go out there and date like normal people, which obviously that makes it
Kind of
extremely
weird.
challenging
Yeah.
and very, very weird. And when you are the person that's trying to date that person, and then you tell people or friends, they're like, "What? That's weird as hell." Like
Right.
even the people in your circle are like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like you might want to stay away
Yeah.
from that. So because I've had some of my friends like, "Wait, what? Like that sounds weird, bro." They're like, "That sounds like that could get messy," and I'm like, "Yeah, you're probably right." Like that, for example, would be a red flag. But
Hmm.
I did some digging, and I also tried to really think about it from my perspective. What are some things that I definitely look for when I am engaging in a dating approach with a woman? And
Hmm.
one thing that I appreciate is consistency,
Okay.
um, as a whole, right? Whether it be just communicating or whether it be, hey, we're gonna go out next Tuesday, and I'll be there. And if anything comes up, I'll let you know. Things like that to me, consistency is important, even on little things, because those little things add up to big things in my views. When I'm spending time with a woman, kindness is also another green flag for me. And
Okay.
I'm not
Good.
saying you have to, bring world peace and, feed every homeless person or anything like that, but just genuine kindness to me is appreciated because that means that, you have good energy, good vibes, and you're a kind soul because I rock better with people like that.
Okay. I like that. I think for me, so often posts and whatnot have really focused on, red flags, which, to explain that for people who may not be aware of what we're talking about. Sorry, we usually do that up at the top. But red flags are those things that may happen during the course of, chatting, dating, meeting, whatever. But a red flag is something that is a sign that you need to be cautious before moving forward with someone. So, sometimes they're very glaringly obvious, like, they are very violent. Maybe they're walking around, you know, drinking and smoking and, waving guns around. Maybe they've taken you to a place that makes you feel very unsafe and they're talking to you in a way that is very, um, you know, ungentlemanly or,
Make
unladylike
you
or
feel
whatever.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, very uncomfortable speech. Yes. And I will share, when I was out there on the dating apps, so, connected with this person, this guy lived in Charlotte, so it wasn't that far away. But I can remember the first red flag, because there were just a few things, like his conversation was a bit erratic, very sporadic. But he's like, let's go out or whatever, and I would go to Charlotte because, my hometown is not full of a lot of activity. So, going to Charlotte is normal for me. That was not out of the way, first of all. So on the way though, I was on 16 and a 2x4 flew out of nowhere into my car. Fortunately, it did not go into my windshield, but I did run over it. It caused a little bit of damage. And so instead of like, okay, maybe I should go on this date, let me just go on home after this, I proceeded to go on. But, later in hindsight, I was like, that was the first red flag. That a 2x4 came out of nowhere. It's like the universe was like, girl, stop. The ancestors, go home. Do not go on this date. So I get to the guy's house. Well, he's smoking weed. And first of all, not that I have anything against that, as a personal choice or whatever for people, mind you, it is illegal. So, you're doing what you do on your business. But he was doing it in front of me, and this is your first time meeting me. Number
Mm,
one, I
interesting.
didn't feel like that was like you trying to make a great impression. Then number two, um, he was, talking to me in a way that it's like we had been knowing each other for a long time, and we really hadn't. We had chatted back and forth for a couple weeks, but it wasn't like, I knew this person previously.
Surface level stuff.
Third, he brought out swords that he owned, samurai swords, and was showing them to me, but he kept waving them near me like he was trying
What?
to intimidate me. Now, I don't know what I was on or what spell I was under that I
The
didn't just
devil
like
didn't hit you?
leave, but I actually went on a date with this fool. So we get to the restaurant, and, some men want to sit in certain places because they want to watch the door. Well,
True story.
you know, I didn't know his preference because I have met men who didn't care. And so I just sat down and he was like, mm, you must not be used to a real man. I said, excuse me? I said, what do you mean? He was like, why would you sit here? I said, well, I thought, I just sit here. You didn't say you had a preference. 'Cause a lot of men will say, if you don't mind, I'd like to sit there so I can see the door. Some men will just tell you. Well, this
I do that a
crazy,
lot. I'm guilty.
yeah, just say it though. You ain't got
I
to,
do say it. I'm like, hey,
don't
I'd
riddle
rather
me.
sit here.
Riddler. Riddle me Riddler, right? Tell me you would like to sit there because you want to protect us.
Sure.
But he, made that little nasty comment. So I went to the bathroom. And at that time, when I was dating online, I had my team, some of my girlfriends and relatives, and I'd be like, listen, if I say this word, I need y'all to like get me out of here. You know what I'm saying? Well, I called one of them. I was like, the word, the word, the word. And did not get one call back. She was knocked out sleep. I was up all night. Any other night I've been out, they all like, you good? What's up? Do we need to come? Whatever. This night, nobody was available. So I was just like, God, what are we doing? What are we doing? So I was like, okay, I'm just have to play it cool. Well, we finished this long date. It's very uncomfortable. And he just kept challenging me all night. He was just very um,
Combative.
combative. Very good word. Very combative. And so I finally was like, I think it's time for me to go home. And we get back to my car at his place, and he pulls out um, another knife, a knife like a hand, knife, not like a weapon, not like the samurai swords in the house. And I looked over at him and I said, he's like, "Oh, you're not coming in?" I said, "No, I'm not. I'm going home and you won't be stopping me. Have a good evening." I looked him dead in his eye like, "I wish you would." And I got out that car, I got in my car, and I went home and I reviewed the many red flags that I had proceeded to ignore. Well, I saw them, tried to do something about it at one point in the night, but like from the jump, I was like, if I um had not been in some sort of trance, I really don't know what it was. I didn't, eat or drink anything in his house, so I don't think he gave me anything. But it's almost like I was challenging myself to see like how would I do in this situation, because I don't know any other way to explain why I stayed in such an uncomfortable environment. And so, what I would say now though is to my girls or anybody else, like, don't do that. Like, don't feel like you have to play nice. Don't feel like, play nice to the point that you get back to a safe place. But don't feel like you owe somebody to sit through something that you set up, because you don't owe them anything. Like, I was good to pay for my own meal. I was good to, get myself home. But I don't know what in the hell was possessing me to stay on that date with that many red flags in one. But after that, I blocked him, never contacted him again, never saw him again. So I don't know, I was like, is this just a figment of my imagination? But I know I went on that date because I had to get my car fixed from the 2x4 that came flying out at me trying to tell me to go home. It
Well,
was
number
crazy.
one, shout out for you, kind of getting yourself out of an uncomfortable situation. Yeah, there was definitely it was like a lot of little red flags that led up to a bigger red flag, in my opinion. And I will say this, since we're on the topic of the red flag aspect of it. So I want to give credit where credit is due, because I did do some research.
Mm-hmm.
And this is from Jackie Angel. So she has a YouTube channel called Ascension Presents.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was very interesting that she shared some talking points on what a person should consider when they are trying to identify some of these red flags in this scenario, right? For example, some questions that you can kind of go over with yourself. Do you feel free or less free when you are around this person? That would be one. Um,
That's a
Another
great one.
point.
I love that one.
Right. I was like, yeah, because I even like processed some of these questions in my head. Because to me, I'm like, this is regardless of gender. These are very thought provoking questions that could work in a lot of scenarios, irregardless of gender. Um, Another is being around this person or entertaining this person, is this life giving or life sucking?
Mm,
So think about
preach.
that. When you are around this individual, do you feel like it's life giving or life sucking?
Like, are
Um,
they negative energy the whole time and everything is like nothing's right? You can't do anything right. You can't please them. You can never make a suggestion that they go along with. I think of those things when I think about life sucking. And then life giving, like, is this somebody who affirms you? Like, they constantly tell you you look nice. They tell you how happy you make them and, how thankful they are for you to be in their life. That makes a difference in how your relationship proceeds.
oh, absolutely. And to me, I think it kind of, get puts it in perspective, like how you are feeling when you are around this person. And let's put this out there: it's okay to have bad days, right? That
Right.
happens to every one of us, right?
Right.
It's There's a lot of people having rough weekends right now in our state. But
Hmm.
one thing is to have bad days, bad moments, and one is to this is a daily constant feeling and sensation that I
Yeah.
cannot shake away from this person. Because once
Right.
you start feeling that this is a pattern, that this is the norm, then
Yeah.
obviously this is going to start impacting you in many ways, whether it be your health, your mental health, and people around you.
Right.
Because then you start changing and you start little by little, you start losing fragments of the fiber of what makes you who you are.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Another thing that was brought up when I was doing the research on with this video that I saw, um, do you feel peace or is it constant anxiety?
Ooh, yes, that is huge for me.
Because think about it, if you hang out with somebody that you like to hang out with, you should be feeling a level of fulfillment. You should be at peace. You should be
Mm-hmm.
enjoying yourself more often than not. But if you feel that bad and I'm not talking about good nervousness. I'm not talking about the
Yeah,
butterfly feeling. I'm talking about like walking on eggshells. You're anxious and you got that ugly, weird pit stomach vibes that you just
yeah.
can't shake away.
But I'm gonna tell you something, Poppy. Girlfriends of mine and I, we have all decided at this great age that we used to think butterflies were real cute and fun. But we have learned through research, and this is through research, that that is a part of your nervous system that is responding and reacting, and that is not a positive. It has been romanticized as if that is a great thing, that you've got butterflies and you feel so, jittery and nervous and, fluttery. But those are signs that your body is giving you through your nervous system that something is off. Now, mind you, a lot of times you're getting that in the very front end stage where a lot of times you're being love bombed. Things are all, easy peasy and very romantic. And, you're doing a lot of fun things at the front end. But every relationship that I've been in where I felt butterflies has not ended well. And that is not just my truth, but I've spoken to at least 6 friends in my own inner circle who have discovered that what they used to go for, like I want that kind of butterfly, bubble kind of bubbly feeling. None of us have had a relationship, and we've all had many, have had that be the precursor, and it work out long term.
Well, thank you. I think that's a great
Mm-hmm.
way to kind of shed some light because obviously, with our conversations, we love to give perspective, be informative, but also, dive into the negatives and positives, right? Like life isn't always
Yeah,
peachy. Shit happens.
that's right.
And that happens in dating where, hey, you think you got, Prince Charming or you think you got,
Mm-hmm.
the knight that's going to come save you. And then sometimes that knight is not what you thought. And it's important to try to pick up on these things early on because sometimes once you get so deep and so entangled in that, it can be very
Mm-hmm.
challenging and even traumatic to remove yourself from situations like that. So, great
Yeah.
feedback on that. There was a couple of other points that I wanted to cover regarding the red flag um, portion of the conversation, which was, do you feel pressured or manipulated when you are dealing with this person?
Especially physically. That's what my mind went to. Like, if you're being made to feel like you need to move fast and get into a physical relationship with the person before you're really ready. But any type of manipulation, honestly, not just that, but that was one of the things that I thought of because dating abuse is real, even with teenagers, and there are a lot of times girls are coerced into, maybe guys too, with the pressure of, everybody assuming that as a male that you should already have so much experience, before a certain age, and so not to not to discount their experiences, but just speaking from what I know, a lot of girls, oftentimes felt like they really weren't ready for a physical relationship, but were manipulated and told, well, if you love me, you'll do this. So even as an older person dating, I don't think that we often fall for that, but I think sometimes it's a little smoother, I do so much for you. Why wouldn't you do this for me? You know, I thought our relationship was about give and take, and I feel like I always give and you always take. People can say some slick stuff to get their way with you after a while, and people do after many experiences learn how to push the buttons of others, like learning where the weak spots are, and then pressing that button to get what they want. So, truly, and again, the show is not just about the red flags, because while those are important to recognize, it's also important to recognize when you have a good thing, don't keep sifting it through the red flag bin looking for something to be wrong because you've had past experiences that have, you know, maybe colored your glasses red, if that makes
Oh,
sense.
absolutely. And I think it's important to definitely highlight that. And that's why boundaries and establishing your expectations early on are important, because let's say you do make a mistake or you had too many drinks and you do cut loose. Then at that point, that cat's out of the bag. And then it can be difficult to try to reframe that, hey, we probably moved a little too fast. This is not really how
Mm-hmm.
I get down. But it's okay to still re-emphasize that, hey, that was an exception, not my norm. And but you have to obviously
Mm-hmm.
put it out there, because if you don't, then that man or person, whoever you get
Yeah,
nasty with, is going to
exactly.
be like, hey, it happened, so what's the problem? But that's where standing up for yourself and drawing that hard line in the sand is going to be crucial. And I know that it's a little weird and uncomfortable, but think about it, how difficult and how challenging that interaction is going to be if you let that go for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, and
Mm-hmm.
so on. So that's why it's important to really address it as it comes, so that way it's not going to be a challenge, just such an insurmountable challenge to address that.
And you know what
Another
else
thing, go
too,
go ahead.
Poppy, just to add to that before we move on, like not only to establish the boundary, but to reinforce it. Because I think sometimes we'll say what we will and will not do, but then, like you said, when you don't enforce things as they happen or reinforce it as it happens, to say, I told you this was something that, was not okay for me, and this is your second time doing it. Or this is the third time you've done this to me. And I really feel like, I've explained myself, I've told you how I felt. Why is it that we're not able to get clear? And then you got to know that sometimes you got to walk away if you see that you have, like Charlie Murphy used to say, Rick James was a habitual line stepper. Sometimes people are habitual line steppers and don't care about your boundary. So if you don't care about your boundary, you might say that thing, but if you don't follow through with what you've said, then people have, they're going to keep thinking they have the right to keep running over it, and running over you.
Oh, absolutely. And shout out and our rest in peace to Charlie Murphy. I love that
That
Prince
skit
skit that
was
they did. Oh
definitely
my
my
God,
favorite. Yeah.
that is childhood memories right there. Another point regarding the red flag discussion is, can you have a serious conversation with this person? And I've heard
Mm,
this a lot from women, where they say that they'll try to have a difficult conversation with a man, and they either get dismissive, or they shut down, or they just don't want to address the elephant in the room. And
mm,
again, that goes back to the conversation that we were having, right? Where, okay, maybe it was a bad day, or maybe right now is not the time, but that conversation still needs to happen. So
right.
shutting it down,
Exactly.
okay, if it's a Friday night and we're at a friend's house and we're kicking it, probably not a good time to be having those deep discussions. You feel me? Because
Absolutely.
I'm a big
Yeah.
believer. I don't
Time and
like,
place for everything.
exactly. I'm a big believer that, the dirty laundry does not need to be aired out, whether it be on Facebook or in front of your friends, family, peers, etc. But just because that moment is not ideal, that still does not mean that that conversation needs to happen. And if you, as a person, have an issue, have a concern, or feel some kind of way, and your partner or whoever you are pursuing does not like to have those tough conversations, that is not a good outlook for a future. Because
Yeah.
in dating and relationships, that is inevitable. You will have to sit down and have some tough, frank conversations. And if you do not, you're going to have problems down the road.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think those are really great suggestions. And as for the green flags, because I do think, um, you know, uh, that is such a good focus, because I do believe the saying, the dog you feed is the dog that grows. And
Oh
so
my God, say that again.
the dog you feed is the dog that grows. I
That's
mean,
deep.
it
I like it.
truly, like, the where you put your time and attention is where your, where your energy, where it says, the saying, somebody says it this way: where your energy goes, your energy flows. So what I pay attention to, that's what's going to get my best energy. So if I'm always looking at the red flags because I've been hurt, I've had a bad past, things have happened, then I'm going to stay stuck in that place, you know, if I'm not doing the healing work, if I'm not communicating better, if I'm not making different choices for myself, and if I keep doing the same thing, like, if just because it's a different name, like, it can be Tom, Dick, or Harry. But girl, if you still picking that man who, you know, never works, never takes you out, always cheats. Like, a rose by any other name will smell as ratchet and not sweet, like Shakespeare says. Like, quit picking the same man. Like, that's a red flag. But the green flag to me is, like, I am gonna spend time with myself. I'm gonna get to know what I like. I'm gonna get to know what I'm interested in, and then put myself in those places. Like, men who are interested in, a varied things, like not just sports, not just gaming, but maybe they got a taste for history. They've got a taste for reading. They've got a taste for good food and travel. Um, like, to me, you also have to, like, the flag is not only about the other person. The green flag is also about you.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
you're looking for this, but girl, you can't find, um, you know, um, honest, upright, moral, integrity filled man, and you looking over here in the den of thieves. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
I'm just like,
absolutely. Now, let's be real. Like, when we're talking about red flags and green flags, we're talking about um, who they are as an individual. What are their
mm-hmm,
ethics, their morals? We're not talking about, can he take you to Jamaica or can he buy you
right.
the new Louis Vuitton bag. That is not a green flag, red flag thing, folks. Let's be
No,
very, very
that's
clear.
usually green money, or
Yeah, we're
in the
talking about
red
something
with your
completely
money, in the
different
red
green.
with your money.
But yeah, let's be on, and to
Yeah.
kind of finish up the conversation on green and red flags, right? It's important, right? When we call out people about certain things, you want to make sure that you're not throwing stones and living in a glass house. So if you're trying to tell
Mm-hmm.
someone that, hey, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, but then you want to criticize somebody for the same thing that they're trying to work on, then obviously we need to be mindful that, hey, these are my green and red flags that I seek and that I bring and that I don't get down with. But you also have to be aware that, okay, I can also provide and I can also bring this type of consistency as well. So it's important to be
Mm-hmm.
mindful not to kind of just get pigeonholed into it's only that person that needs to be good and I am who I am, because that doesn't make any sense in any world as well.
Ooh, preach that. People in the back did not hear it, I'm sure. Ooh, I'm an amen on that one.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, sometimes we got to look in that mirror and, realize that, hey, I got some stuff that I got to own up, and that's
Yes.
okay. There is nothing wrong with that. But also, be mindful that, hey, the other person is human and they also deserve a little grace. And obviously, sometimes those deal breakers are just that, and it's just not going to work no matter how much they try to work on something, no matter how much they try to change for you, because we know better in the relationship cycle that going to a restaurant and trying to change the whole menu just doesn't work out.
Oh, excellent. These analogies today. Listen, I don't know. We got our good brain juice going today because they have been flowing like water. But um, in the long and short of it, though, I think you really do have to do some self-evaluation, know what you want, and then be willing to say no to what you don't want. Like, don't just allow everything into your inner circle when you know that's not what you're looking for. Like, you can't say yes to everything. But when the things that you do want show up, like, don't be afraid to say yes because things in the past have always, looked differently or been a certain way. Like, don't close yourself off to what could be, potentially the best relationship you've ever been in because you still, haven't really done your healing.
Oh, absolutely.
Or you just, you coloring everybody with the same, crayon, and everybody hasn't done that to you. That person did that to you, not this person in front of you, you
And it's
know?
tough because a lot of that
Yeah.
stuff we kind of carry deep within our subconscious, and it is hard because sometimes we project without knowing that we're projecting. So it's important
Mm-hmm.
to know what triggers us and what is not for us, so that way we can try to catch ourselves or seek help to be like, okay, I keep accusing people or I keep projecting this on people that haven't done any of this stuff to me. So it is very, very important to be self-aware, right? And that is up to the person
Mm-hmm.
to do that work to try to manage and address some of those issues or underlying issues that we project and bring on when we date. A couple of other points I wanted to hit on the green flag issue. Like for me, as I sat down and really put some thought into this, a couple of other traits that I really, really like to see on that green column is humility.
Mm-hmm.
That is something that is important to me. I come from a third world country. I was born in Honduras, so I've seen a lot of, a lot of poverty, a lot of, corruption. So I've seen those things, and that's one thing that my parents, even coming here as a child to America, they always instilled humility in
Yeah.
me and my little brother. So that to me is something that I also desire in a woman as well. Being family oriented, being Latino, that is a huge thing for me. So
Mm-hmm.
those are things that when I see a woman that thinks family or really leans heavy on family, as far as having a relationship or being involved or just being close to family, that to me is
Mm-hmm.
an awesome, amazing green flag that I really, really appreciate.
Absolutely agree. Mm-hmm.
But with that being said, good people, thank y'all so much for supporting us, for checking out our channel. Please, as always, like, comment, subscribe. It's free, so we're not trying to hustle people. We want to use our good word for good. And of course, as always, share the podcast, share our links with anyone and everyone that you think will find some enjoyment and some value when they tune into our podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Until next time.
Buenas noches, good people, and thank y'all for the love and support, and stay safe.